The best advice I was ever given about freediving came from world champion freediver Martin Stepanek right before I took my personal best dive. He said to me, "When you feel the need to speed up, slow down." And these words could not be more true. So many times when something goes wrong, when fear kicks in, or when you're underwater and you simply realize how far away you are from air, it can be so natural to want to react by speeding up, kicking harder, swimming faster, and trying to get back to safety sooner. But it's actually those precise moments when you should slow down. Moving faster underwater, it takes more energy. It raises your heart rate, and you can quickly burn through all of that oxygen you have saved up from that single breath of air you took at the surface. Slowing down, it conserves your oxygen. It keeps your heart rate low. But most importantly, it allows you to be calm enough to see things clearly so that you can make good decisions. This advice is what allows me to hold my breath for over 4 minutes and 45 seconds without showing any signs of hypoxia or oxygen deprivation. It also allows me to swim to depths of 159 feet and return to the ocean surface slowly and safely. But it's helped me in some other situations too. This footage is from a research voyage. I was getting ready to do a free dive, and I had my head out of the water as I was fixing my mask. My friend Morgan started shaking me and warning me, and when I turned around, I saw the biggest great white shark I had ever seen. Had I not become used to staying calm in the face of fear, I probably would have done exactly what I see people do on movies. Scream, "Shark!" swim backwards, and try and frantically splash my way back to the boat. I'm really glad I didn't do that. The clarity I got from slowing down and staying calm was basically just enough to tell me that I can't outswim a great white shark. And so instead, I swam towards her. And when I did, she backed off. Now, this started to make sense to me as a hunter, because when I spear fish, I never swim directly at my prey. If I do, it will surely push them away from me. So instead, I pretend to hide. I pretend to be scared. I act like I'm shy. I turn away from them, because that will pique their curiosity and bring them right in. So knowing that a shark is a bigger fish, I tried to apply the same theory, but use the opposite strategy. And any time that she swam up towards me, I made sure to swim down directly towards her. And we got into a rhythm of doing this, to the point where she slowed down too. In fact, her tail almost stopped moving. And what had started as one of the scariest moments of my life ended up being one of the most beautiful. And this truly reconfirmed to me that so many times when we are under pressure, the very things that we tell ourselves we're supposed to do are actually the opposite of what we should do. My dad taught me to my dad taught me to free dive. I should just say my dad taught me to snorkel at the age of 5. He was a spear fisherman, and he used diving to put food on the table. This is the house I grew up in. According to society, we were poor. But I didn't know society yet. All I knew was nature and family, and that they both provided me with everything I needed to be happy. But we didn't live in this house for very long because my parents were such hard workers, and as they worked, they made money. So we moved into a subdivision. My sister and I had nicer clothes and toys, and we no longer had to depend directly on nature to get by. This, as we knew it, was progress. I missed my old life, but I knew that we as a family were doing what we were supposed to do. And so I continued to do so in my own path. I went to school, I got a degree, I got a job, and I was working and living in the city of Honolulu. But something was missing. And the more I let myself think about it, the more I just saw these flashbacks and images of being 5 years old and simply helping my family gather food. I saw us collecting chicken eggs. I saw us foraging for fruit on our free time. But most of all, I remembered what it felt like to dive with my dad. I never actually speared fish as a kid. I was just a tag-along. But I remembered what it felt like to be in that underwater world, to actually live in a world where I could fly. And I remembered how fun it was to put in these orders for my favorite dinners and watch my dad swim down and get them for me. I would try and push these memories and these images out of my head because I didn't know what I was supposed to do with them. I wasn't 5 years old anymore. And becoming a spearfisher woman is not exactly part of a normal career plan. In fact, I didn't even know if that was a real word. But the more that I thought about it, the more I longed for it. And so I started looking for others to take me diving and teach me how. No one took me seriously. And so finally, with a 3-prong spear, a simple 3-prong spear, I started to go on my own. And to my surprise, I was able to catch fish. Apparently, all those years watching my dad hunt, it taught me far more than I realized. I knew my fish identifications, and I knew which ones I wanted to eat. I knew how to hold my breath, and most of all, I knew how to be comfortable in the water. And with that, I was able to catch just enough fish to feed myself. And in time, I was able to catch just enough to feed the people that I care about. The quality that this added to my life was invigorating. Everything that I did after that, it just felt like it had so much more meaning and more purpose to it. I was genuinely happy, and I swore that I would never let go of diving again. Soon, I started showing up to barbecues with my own fish, and people did take me a little more seriously. I got invited to go diving, and with every person I dove with, I learned something new. And then in time, I fell into the hands of these national champions who decided that they would make me their little project. The depths these guys could hit, the fish they could catch, it was all way beyond what I had known was possible. These guys took my dreams and expanded them. After a couple of years of training with them, I decided that I'd follow in their footsteps and that I too would enter the United States National Championships. Now, the spearfishing freediving national championships, it travels all over the US. It goes to Florida, it goes to California, and this year it was in Hawaii. But of course, the year that I decided I was ready, it was in Newport, Rhode Island. Yes. I wasn't a sponsored athlete. I had to fundraise just to get myself there, and I was only able to arrive 4 days before the actual tournament to make myself completely certain that it was nothing like diving Hawaii. In Hawaii, I like swimming on the surface. I study the fish in the reef below, and I plan my drops accordingly. In Rhode Island, I could barely see my own fins. I had to take these blind drops into the darkness. And when I would, I'd see a layer of green below, and I'd think to myself, thank goodness there's the bottom, and then I'd go right through it. I'd see a layer of brown below that, and I'd say, okay, there it is. And I'd go right through that too. And this would freak me out. It would send me back scratching to the surface, gasping for air. And I honestly started to think I was never going to find the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But through learning to slow down and trust myself, I was able to let go of my expectations of where the bottom should be, and instead just believe that that bottom would come. And I did make it all the way down there. And when I did, it turned out that there were mussels that lived on the bottom, and these mussels filtered the water so that I could see. And I also learned to listen. For the first time in my life, I could hear fish swimming around me. And I learned to hunt that way. 4 days later, I became the national champion. Thank you. In fact, I won every category I was eligible to place in. And I was named Rookie of the Year. Thanks. When I returned home to Hawaii, people were really proud of me. They wanted to take my pictures. They wanted to write articles about me. They started to highlight my other talents, like cooking and painting. Soon my art started to sell. And it felt like all of my dreams had come true. And it wasn't the publicity. It was just that for the first time in my life, other people were believing in these crazy dreams of mine. I was so overwhelmed with gratitude, and I didn't take it lightly. I attributed all of this beautiful support to winning. And so that's what I put my focus on. I entered every tournament I could. And I made it my goal to win. But after about 1.5 years of doing this, I realized that once again, I wasn't happy. And my heart just wasn't into it. With every title I won, it just felt like there's one more I have to defend. And with any time I came in second, I actually felt embarrassed. I felt like I was coming in dead last. But what really got me was that when I would go on my own personal dives to get away from it all, I was looking at fish as points. And that didn't feel like me. Once again, the need to speed up became my truest indicator that it was time to slow down. The whole reason I got back into diving was to slow down. It was because I truly believed that going back to a simpler life was not a step backwards. And so I knew I had to walk away, and I knew that I would let people down. And I did let people down. I was called a quitter, a waste of talent, and a disgrace. And these words seriously hurt me, and they broke me for a while. Because I didn't know who I was anymore or what I wanted without all of this. But I found out. I found out that I still do want to dive, and I still do want to travel, but just not necessarily to compete. I want to travel to see the different cultures of the world and to learn from them. I want to see what kind of fish they have and how they eat them. I want to shoot just a couple fish and eat them over a fire with just a couple friends. Or better yet, catch a fish and give it back to the local community, to the people who need it the most. And through doing this, I realized that I hadn't lost everything. And I hadn't let everyone down. In fact, I gained more. I gained more supporters and better sponsors. It turned out that people as a whole could relate more to fish as food than they could fish as trophies. But besides just being able to keep the support, more importantly, I was able to keep myself. And I truly believe that we all have the power to slow down and make more conscious, more meaningful decisions that can not only improve our personal lives, but that can change the world. That footage you saw of the great white shark, it leaked out before I was able to release it. And when it did, I was instantly bombarded with phone calls from producers who wanted to make shark riding TV shows for big networks. And people who wanted me to submit it for commercials, for energy drinks or sodas. And though I knew that all of this sounded like instant success for me, I also took my time to think about the impact it would have on the world around me. And I realized I didn't want to over-sensationalize this moment simply for profits. And I also didn't want to be a part of anything that was gonna go encourage others to try and ride a shark. So I turned down these opportunities, and instead, I made my own little grassroots video called Variables. And I didn't make it about riding sharks. I tried to take the spotlight of that shark ride and shine it on more important things, like responsible hunting and healthy ecosystems. And though it didn't get me overnight fame or fortune, what it did get me is far more important. Aloha, my name is Madison. I'm 14 years old and I live in Reno, Nevada. When I watched your video, it totally changed the way I looked at the ocean and the world. Your video showed me that we're all connected, and it made me feel closer to something so far away. I have a strong connection with nature also, but in the mountains instead of the ocean. I hunt with a bow, and now I'm trying to organically farm a lot of my own produce. Your video gives me the courage and inspiration to conserve and respect the world. Thank you. I hope to talk to you in the future. And here's just one more. It's an older one, but it's one of my favorites. Dear Kimmy, I'm very sorry. I sent you a terrible Facebook message a while back about how disrespectful you are towards animals. I feel bad. I was judgmental. I assumed that you killed for sheer pleasure. I thought you were an animal bully. It seems you do respect them, and I think that's great. Even though I don't eat meat, I guess you don't have to be a vegetarian to have healthy respect after all. I wish you the best, and please accept my sincere apology, Joe. And these mean more to me than I can describe, because it was my goal to try and merge the worlds of hunting and conservation. Because so many conservationists I knew thought of hunters as these trigger-happy, bloodthirsty people who just don't care about the environment. And so many hunters I knew thought of conservationists as these crazy, angry outsiders that just want to take away our rights. And I don't think that things should be that black and white. In fact, I think that these two worlds together can be harmonious, compatible, and the key to sustainability. And I know that we all have very important seeds to plant. So I'd really like to ask all of you, with my whole heart, the next time you feel any form of outside pressure telling you that you'd better speed up, please give yourself just a brief moment before you react to that and slow down. Because I truly believe that in that moment, you just might see a different path, and you just might see what you are truly capable of. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.